Hello, in this video we will be talking about the basics of using Microsoft Word. This is the 2017 version of the Office 365 subscription of Microsoft Office Suite. So if it doesn't look the exact same as yours, you may be on an older version. That's alright. Everything that we will be going over in today's video are simple features that are part of all of the versions of Microsoft Word, so you should be able to follow along. Let's go ahead and get started by opening up a blank document. Okay, so now what we have here is our document, and you will notice all of these tabs across the top here. Those have a bunch of different things that you can do. What we will be talking about is the Home tab, the Insert tab, and the Layout tab. So let's go ahead and start with the Home tab here. Now in this tab, a couple of the things that we will go over are these two boxes here, which change your font style. So if you wanted to use Times New Roman, and your font size, which we'll choose 12 here. And you can also click in the box if you know the name of the font you want, and you can start to type it, and as you can see it will autofill it, but we will go ahead and leave it as Times New Roman. Same with the font size. You can click into the box and actually type a specific size that you want, and it will save it as that. We will go ahead and use 12. Now, when I type, I'm typing in Times New Roman 12. We have these three buttons here, which allow us to bold our text, put our text into italics, or underline our text. And so if I go ahead and select that, you can see that I now typed a word that is bold, and I can type one that is italicized, and I can also type one that is underlined. And you can use any combination of these together. So if you needed something that was bold, italicized, and underlined, you can actually do that. And those are the features of that. Now, what we can do here next is we will talk about changing the color of your text. And that is this button right here. It is defaulted to red, so if you click that, it will change it to red, and then you will type in red. You can also go, and there's a bunch of different colors that you can choose from in here. And then if the color that you want isn't really in here, you can't find the right shade, what you can do is you can click more colors, and it will bring up this little box here where you can kind of click around the color wheel and find something you want. Or you can go to custom and click somewhere on the color spectrum, and then you can raise or lower the amount of lightness that it has, and then you just hit OK and it will change that. And we'll go ahead and revert that back to black, and we will go on to the next thing in this section that I wanted to talk about, which will be the list items. And to list things, you can do a bullet list or a numbered list, and you just click the button and it pops up a little bullet point there, and then as you type and hit enter, it will automatically start adding bullet points and keeping everything nice and uniform for you. It's very useful. Now to get out of the list, what you do is you just simply would go and click the button again, and now kicks out of the list function and back into normal typing. Uh, the numbered list is the exact same, and both of these lists have this little option here where you can choose what the bullet points look like for the bullet list. And as you can see, the bullet points have changed to that. And for the numbered list option, you have normal numbers, or you have the numbers with periods, numbers with parentheses after, You can have Roman numerals. You can have an ABC list, capitalized with periods after. You can have lowercase ABC with parentheses or periods, or you could have a lowercase Roman numeral, and that looks like that. And then what we can talk about too is the alignment of text. That is these three boxes here. It is defaulted to a left alignment, and what that means is that the text is aligned to the left of the document, but you can also align it to the center or the right, and you can also change, that's based on the line of text that you're on. So this line is left aligned, but if you wanted the next line to be right aligned, what you could do is you can hit enter, go to the next line, and then you can right align it, and it will keep it right aligned like that. So that's the basics of aligning your text in the document. Another thing that we can talk about is highlighting items, and that's this button here. So if you have a large paragraph and you have something that you really want the reader to notice, you can actually come to this, and the default is the normal yellow background highlighted. And so it will highlight it with that color, but you can actually come in and change that to these couple of options. And once you have it highlighted, you can unhighlight by simply holding left click and dragging it over the text, and then just click the button again, and it gets rid of the highlight. And it's really that simple. So yeah, once that's done, that's how that works. The next thing we're going to talk about here is spacing, line spacing, and that's this button here. So if you have a document that requires, say, 2-point spacing, you click this button and you would scroll down to 2, and as you can see in the background, the further I scroll down, the more space that appears between the lines of text. So that is what 2-point spacing would look like. So now we can go ahead and go to our next bit, which is the Insert tab. And what we want to talk about in here are important things such as a page break. What a page break basically does is it inserts a break in the page, and what that means is it will just automatically, instead of having to hit space a bunch of times to start a new page, you just click the page break button and it automatically kicks to another page, blank page, so that if you wanted to do like a table of contents or something, you can then finish the table of contents, hit a page break, and then start whatever you need to on the next page. And now we will go ahead and go back up, and we will talk about the next item, which is tables. Tables are very useful. If you click the button, it brings up this little grid view, and as we go through, we can add a bunch of rows and columns, and it maxes out at a 10 by 8 table, but you can actually add more into that if you needed more by simply coming to the table, right-clicking, and going to Insert. And then we have these four options here of insert columns to the left, insert columns to the right, insert rows above, insert rows below, and that means insert left of the table. So as you can see, it inserted another column. And then you can also insert more rows below. And as you can see, I had all of these selected. They were all highlighted. So if I highlight the whole thing and right click and say insert rows above, it will now duplicate the entire table. So make sure that you have the amount selected that you want. You can also delete that way by going like this, right clicking and saying delete cells and then entire row. And as you can see, it deleted all of the highlighted. So it's a very useful tool, a very useful thing that you can do. And as you type in here, the box will actually expand with what you are typing, and it automatically sizes to the amount of text in there. You can see that this row has auto-sized itself to match this box here. So it's a really useful tool. It automatically does everything itself, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. It can be a really useful thing for doing reports and things like that, entering information, showing tables. It's really nice. Now we come down to our next bit here in the insert that I wanted to cover, and that is how to do pictures. Now this button here will do pictures from a file, and that would be a picture that you have previously saved somewhere on your computer. So when you click that, it will pop up the File Explorer, and then you can go through and navigate to wherever you have that picture saved. You click the file will show up here, and then you click Insert, and it inserts it into the document. Or what you can do is you can go to a photo or an image with your web browser. You can right click it and choose the option to copy image, and then you simply come to your document and you right click, and then you can just go to paste, and you have your image in there. And now with your image you have a couple of things you can do. So what you can do is you can resize it by clicking on it and then selecting with the box to resize it. And then when you click it, you also have a couple more options that you can do, and that is this box right here. This basically will change the way that text interacts with this picture. So you can have it right now, it's set to inline with text, and that basically means that the text will be in line with the image. You can also do text wrapping and wrap text around an image. So if I was typing a paragraph, it would just wrap itself around this image. And then you can also have the text go through the image. You can have the image in front of the text. You can have the image behind the text. You can have no text to either side of the image. So just explore those options and choose the one that works best for your document. The next thing we will kind of cover here is a really important thing, I think, is these shapes here. So if you say wanted to do like a flow chart or something like that, you can actually do that in Word. If we throw some squares in here, we can choose again, and then you can click on these, you can resize them, you can move them around wherever you need them to be. Um, and you can kind of create like cool little flowcharts, and you can actually put text in these by simply having it selected and then just start typing, and it will automatically put whatever you're typing into that box. And so you can have these nice little flow charts. And another thing that you can do is you can also use the arrow function. So if you wanted to do an actual flow chart, you could kind of like pull arrows between the boxes and things and point to what you need. And you can also change the colors of all this stuff. And whenever something is selected, you have all of the options right here. So this one is an outline shape, so we can come in here and change that to say red. And then we can change our boxes. Fill is the inner color, and the outline is the outline around the box. So we could say change this to a nice yellow, and we can have the outline be a nice bold black. And then this one we could do the same thing. Nice yellow, nice black. And yeah, it's really a simple tool. It can be very useful. You can even use these things in you can even use these things on images as well. You can overlay them, And what that basically allows you to do is if you're doing, say, a how-to guide or something like that, and you want to point out a specific thing in a screenshot or an image, you can come in here and you can say, give this a no fill, give it a nice bold outline to stand out in the picture, and then you could size it over the thing that you really want pointed out. And then what you could also do is maybe have an arrow pointing to the thing so that people know this is what they're supposed to be looking at. And it really adds a lot of great functionality to Word. You can actually do some pretty advanced things, and you can get your documents looking more advanced and a little bit more professional. And now, one of the last things I really wanted to cover in this video is in the Layout tab, and that is margin size. Now, margin size normally is a 1-inch margin, and what that means is that there is a 1-inch space between any bit of text and the edge of the document. So if I change that to, say, a 1/2-inch margin, you can see that everything is a little bit more spread out and a lot closer to the edge of the document. And now, if what you want isn't in these options, you can come down here to custom margins, and you can literally customize the margin of the top, bottom, left, and right, and then you would just hit OK, and it would apply that to the document. And as you can see, we have a custom one saved in here, and I needed a 1 1/4-inch margin for the left and the right, and as you can see, if I do that, there's a little bit more space on the left and the right than there is on the top or the bottom. So that is a really important feature that is very useful. The last thing we're going to go ahead and cover is saving a document. And to do that, you would hit the File, go to Save As, and then you go ahead and you come down to the Browse here. And then the way it works is it will default try to save the document as the first line of text that you entered into the document. But we obviously don't want it to be saved word, word, word. That would be ridiculous. So we could go ahead and call it something else, such as example 3, and then we can say save in the documents section, and then we save it. And as you can see, it changes up here. It is now named example 3 document, and this knows where it is saved and the name of it. So once you do the save as save, you can come back and you can hit this button here periodically to update your work and keep saving as you add more to your document. I totally recommend that before doing too much on anything in Word, you should always do a save as, and then periodically throughout every couple of sentences or something, just come up here, click this button, or press Control S on your keyboard to keep saving your work, because it is a really bad day if you've been spending hours on a 20-page report and you haven't saved it at all, and you get a phone call and you walk away and your computer decides to update itself and it needs to restart, so it restarts itself, and you walk back into the room and your computer's on the lock screen and you realize that you just lost that 20-page report that you spent hours on. So you should always save your work. It's a good idea. You can never save too much. Just be responsible and save it as much as humanly possible, and you won't have any problems. That covers the basics of Microsoft Word, getting you started using it. I hope this has been a nice bit of information for you. Have a nice day. Thank you, and